Your body is a messenger. At all times in your life, it's giving you cues as to how to live your life. Although, if you're unaware of this, you likely think that those aches and pains or discomforts are just your body's way of shutting down or maybe even aging, when really they're signals of something deeper. And when you can tune into them, you may be giving yourself blessings beyond what you'd ever imagine, as is the case with my guest's story today. Welcome to Health, Harmony, and Happiness with Kathy. I'm your host, Kathy Stricker. I'm a state patrol wife, mama to 3 lively kiddos, a yoga teacher, certified NLP coach, and an energetic rhythms expert. As an energetic rhythms coach, I help action-taking women use their body's rhythms and the moon's cycle to optimize productivity and avoid burnout without letting their desire to remain in control alter their focus. And this podcast is all about doing just that and perhaps a bit more so that you can create your own path to health, harmony, and happiness. So come along with me, and may this episode serve as a nudge to discover tools that could help you on your path towards more intentional living. Enjoy the show. Hey friends, welcome to episode 51 of the Health, Harmony, and Happiness with Kathy podcast. Today I've got a special guest joining me. Stacy Hart is a nurse, so she's particularly aware of the importance of health checks. And also, sometimes those in healthcare are the last ones to seek out advice or help for their own health roadblocks. Stacy indeed fell into this trap at times in her life, but was particularly aware when she found a lump in her breast that turned her world upside down. Her inner guidance told her she needed to do something more, and because she did, she can now say that she's a cancer survivor. Stacy began tuning into her rhythms and her body's signals when she and her husband were struggling to get pregnant for a second time. Yet, when she started tracking her cycle and tuning into those rhythms that her body naturally has, she started to live with more ease and was blessed beyond what she ever could have imagined, even when a cancer diagnosis tried to waylay her. If you're ready to get started tracking your own rhythms, check out the Daily Rhythms Tracker. It's a great tool, and you can get it at KarenYogaWellness.com/rhythms tracker and get started today. Stacy's an incredible woman, and I'm excited for you to hear her story, especially because it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month. I am talking with Stacy Hart today, and she is the wife of a longtime friend of mine, probably one of my oldest childhood friends, actually, someone I've known since I was in kindergarten. And Stacy is a beautiful soul, and I just know her a little bit, and hopefully we'll get to know her a little bit more today through her story. We're talking with Stacy because it is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and Stacy has a couple really incredible stories. One that has to do with breast cancer, and the other one that really is inspiring simply because it has to do with working with your cycle, with knowing your body, with having that body awareness and using your cycle and rhythms to make life easier. So Stacy is a 40-year-old wife to her husband, Ryan, who is the person that I've known for so long. They've been married for almost 9 years. They have 3 daughters, they have a 6-year-old and then 2 3-year-olds. She's a nurse, she is a friend, and she is a breast cancer survivor. Anything else you want to add to that, Stacy?
I don't think so. I just, I'm very blessed to be where I am right now, and the people that I've met and have been on this journey with me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I know I have been following your story on your Caring Bridge journal, and it is just so beautiful and inspiring to watch. And the community that you have surrounding you is one like none other. And I think here I'm getting choked up a little bit, but I think when you have something like this that you've gone through, you really get to discover how much we need each other, how interconnected we all are.
Absolutely.
And just you get to like physically feel the love that we don't always share with each other.
It's been incredible. I'm not gonna, it's just been I mean, you find your people and you find your community, and it's just been unreal, the love that our family has received, the support, the prayers that we have received throughout this journey.
That's beautiful. So you're a nurse, right?
Correct.
What particular field of nursing are you in?
I do clinical nursing right now. I worked with children's for several years, and now once I had the twins, I just wanted to be around more for them and not have to worry about holidays and weekends. So I work at the clinic here. It's Methodist Physicians Clinic in Red Oak, Iowa.
Okay, cool. Now, I know that sometimes healthcare workers are not the greatest at doing the healthcare for themselves, right?
Correct.
Would you say that you fell into that category at one point in your life?
Oh,
And
yes.
how has that shifted, if so?
Well, just several times. I'm that person that I feel like I'm stronger than I sometimes am. And I don't want to be a bother to anybody. I never have wanted to be a bother to anybody. So I just kind of put things off. And I'll deal with the pain before I'll call anybody, or I'll deal with the side effects before I go in and bother a nurse, because I know that there's so many more people out there that are worse off than what I am. So I will just deal with the symptoms rather than getting the medications or other treatments that I could get at times. There have been times that I have called where I've been very sick, though, and I have needed those extra support systems and things to get me through.
And I think that's quite common, even if you're not in the healthcare industry. I think as women, sometimes we have a tendency to do that because we put other people first. We put our kids first. We put our spouses first. So many of us, I'm going to generalize a little bit, but so many of us are action taking women. And so we don't want life to get us down. So we're just going to push through and just keep going. And it's really not that big of a deal, right? Mm-hmm. We learn to brush off those signals that the body is giving us as insignificant, or as you can get through it. You've got a strong mind, so your mind can take you through it, right?
Correct.
So for what it's worth, that's interesting. That's really interesting to know that you fell into that same category
several times.
So today we're going to talk about a little bit about your pregnancy story, because that is fascinating to me, and your cancer journey. And then we're going to just briefly remind people that it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and there are things that you can be doing to take care of your health. Gosh, so that you catch things early if there are things to catch. Right. Mm-hmm. And I know you've got probably a lot to say on that, Stacy. So first I want to talk about some of our rhythms that we have, and pregnancy being one of those rhythms that a lot of women are called to, and having babies. And it's one thing that doesn't always come easy. Mm-hmm. I know, and if you've been a listener of the show in the past, you know that I've told you my pregnancy story and my struggles with getting pregnant with our first child. And it, in my opinion, and what was the issue for me, was that I was doing what we just talked about. I was pushing through. I was not paying attention. I was not slowing down, because faster is better. And we can just get through everything. And we just need to keep doing. In all actuality, the universe, my body, life was telling me to go the opposite direction. So tell my listeners the story of your twins, I guess, and how it took you tuning into your cycles and your innate rhythms in order to have those beautiful gifts.
Absolutely. So I'd say we were trying for baby number 2 for about 6 months. And I was at that age. I was 36, I believe. I have to go back a ways. Yes, I was around 36 years old when we were trying. So that puts you past that just regular mom. You're now a mom that is
And
of
now
elderly age.
old lady mom.
The old lady
Exactly.
mom is kind of what they make you
I'm
feel
right
like.
there with you.
So we went and saw a specialist just to make sure, like with my previous C-section, that there was nothing really going on that way with my body. Had an ultrasound and everything was still good and okay. And then just really knowing my cycle, knowing when I ovulated, and just knowing how I felt. And then so we saw the specialist, and literally the next month we were pregnant with twins.
Yeah. So
So
what
it
did
was
the
just kind
specialist
of
tell you to
crazy.
do? You didn't have to have
Um,
IVF or anything like that. It wasn't like you saw the
no,
specialist to do IVF and then you
no,
were
no. It
pregnant.
was just knowing like my cycles and knowing, taking those ovulation tests, knowing like how many days after your period you should be doing those, and not knowing there's no twins in our family. So it was just like a very big shock that we had twins in there. And actually, my daughter, our oldest daughter, told us that there were two in there before we knew that there were two.
I
So that was kind of
didn't
crazy
know
too.
that.
Yes, yes.
That's amazing.
Yeah. We came to her and we told her that there was a baby in mommy's tummy. And she goes, "No, mommy, there's two babies." So yeah, we were
Oh
like,
my gosh, Stacy. Okay. So like if you know me at all, that's the like, whoa, we are such, we have such high intuitive awareness. And I
Mhm.
think kids are so much more highly intuitive than we
Yes.
actually realize, right? Like
Yes.
they can feel, they can sense everything. Oh my gosh, that's a beautiful point to the story that she sensed that and she could feel that energy and she knew that she was going to have two babies.
Yeah, it was kind of crazy. We thought she was lying, and then we went and had an appointment like a week later, and she wasn't. We both sat at
Oh
the
my,
hospital and just kind of stared at each other. We're like, how are we going to do this? But we do it every
what
day.
what's your daughter's relationships like with the older with the youngers?
Oh, they all get along very well.
Awesome. Does
I mean, they
she,
have their sisterly moments, but she's very mother hen to them.
that's what I was wondering. That's what I was wondering.
Yes.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. So when you were during that 6 months when you were trying to get pregnant, what else was going on in your life at that time?
I was just, gosh, I was working at Children's in Council Bluffs. So I was traveling back and forth actually at that time because I lived in Stanton, or we lived in Stanton. And then we also had moved to Stanton at that time as well. So it was just it was just really busy, like learning a new atmosphere, a new environment, a new community, and just being completely out of my normal realm. But we were very busy, taking care
That's
of
a lot going on.
yeah, yeah.
And your other daughter would have been 2 to 3,
Yes.
something like that.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a ton. It's a lot. Those toddlers, those preschoolers are, you've
Busy.
got them right now. So do I. They're busy little people.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. You didn't ever pay attention to your cycle before that, did you?
Not much. No, I had an IUD, so I really didn't have much to pay attention to. So yeah,
Okay.
learning my new cycle and how it was working with my body was something I really had to pay attention to.
Absolutely. So were there questions going through your mind about if the IUD had caused any of these issues? Like what was going through your mind at that time?
Wondering if another child was in our future, not knowing if that was part of our plan. So yeah, I was nervous of not knowing if I could have another one.
It's such a hard thing. And it's like so heartbreaking every month when you realize you're not pregnant and
Yes.
you're trying. And like, man, I can go right back there and remember all of that. And, it's not always as simple as you go see the specialist. She tells you to start tracking your cycle, you start paying attention and you get pregnant.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, some people struggle with it a lot more and it is challenging, but gosh, what a blessing that came out of that, to just paying attention to your body. And I have a hard time believing that isn't part of the reason that you paid a little bit closer attention to your body when it came time to, when you found your cancer, when you found the lump that led you to realizing and to going to the doctor for cancer.
Yes.
Like you were already on this journey of tuning into your body a little bit more and just becoming aware of the signals, which is a beautiful thing. On that note, how did you discover that you had breast cancer? Tell them that story.
So it was July of 2021. I had my annual exam with my OBGYN. And everything was, she did the breast exam and everything was fine there. But I've always been one to do my home breast exams. Yes, there were months I forgot. I mean, who doesn't? Life gets away from us and we forget to do those monthly things. And then, but August, I did not. And I don't know why this night I decided to do it, but I was laying in bed with our oldest daughter. She was sleeping and I was like, I'll just do my home breast exam real quick while we're laying here. And I felt something and it was rather big. So I was just kind of like, I don't remember this being here before. So the next morning I went to work and I had one of our nurse practitioners just kind of like, I'm like, it's just dense breast tissue. A lot of women our age, it's what we're told is you just have dense breasts from breastfeeding and your age and not to worry about it. It's probably benign. I just had a different feeling about this. And so did the nurse practitioner. She's like, just go get it checked. She's like, it's very possible. It's just nothing. But it's always better to be safe than sorry. So I called my OB that day, saw her the next day and saw her. And then we had all the kids with us. We couldn't get in from a mammogram and ultrasound right away. So we went out for lunch quick and then came back to the hospital. Ryan had stayed in the car with the kids. I'm like, this shouldn't take long. Went up and had my mammogram done. And then you go to a little waiting room and I still see this day vividly clear. And then the ultrasound tech came and got me for my ultrasound. And she was fine, talked to me normally. We just had normal conversation during it. And then she left and she said the radiologist will be in here shortly. He usually does a little exam as well. And me being 39 at the time, you didn't have these exams often. So you didn't know what to expect. You're not due for your mammogram until you're 40. So didn't really think anything of it. And he came in with the box of Kleenexes. And I knew at that point that it wasn't good.
Oh, man.
Yeah. He showed me the mass and the lymph node as well, which I didn't even feel the lymph node, which was 4.2 centimeters. And the mass is about 5 centimeters.
Oh, man. Where was the lymph node located?
Right in my armpit, in the axillary. So right
in your armpit. So it's super important when you're doing those checks to make sure you're going far enough away from that breast tissue.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I had known, like, I did my exam. So I knew I've had a lump removed in the past on my right side that was benign, but I've known my body for a long time, and you learn to feel the differences between something that's normal and not. From there, I feel like it was a whirlwind. They had me set up with a surgeon the next day. I saw the surgeon on a Friday and had my biopsy done then. And then we kind of had to wait a few days to get those biopsy results. So we waited about, I can't remember if it was like 3 or 4 days to get those results and to confirm everything. And I looked at him right away. I said, I don't want this to be sugar coated. I said, do you think this is cancer? And he goes, I'm 99% sure it's cancer. We just need to have the biopsy to confirm.
Wow.
Yeah. And they actually had a biopsy with him. And then they had to go down to another area in the hospital to have the armpit one, because it has to be like a needle, like guided, an ultrasound guided needle biopsy. Sure. So, yeah.
Wow. And you were in Omaha for this?
Correct. Yes. I went to Omaha Methodist.
Wow. Wow. So that was the beginning. What stage, when you were diagnosed, what did they say the diagnosis was?
So it was stage 3 metastatic. It had metastasized to my lymph nodes in my armpit. I got a port placed, I think that next week is what it was. Saw my oncologist shortly after, and we started chemo like right away. There's so many different journeys you take when you're, which I didn't know, but when you're diagnosed, some people get surgery first. Mine was so aggressive that they wanted to get the chemo in going and kill the cancer before we did the surgery. So we had started chemo right away.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you said there are a whole bunch of different journeys or different paths you can take, I guess, when you're diagnosed with cancer. How do you decide what to do then? How does any other woman decide what to do? Is you primarily go on doctor's recommendations, or do you go and you do some research, or like, what do you do? How do you know?
I guess it's kind of funny because when I had met my surgeon, and actually they had set me up with another surgeon like the next week, and my OB called me on my way home from the ultrasound and mammogram, and she says, "We are not waiting." She goes, "I called my friend. He will see you tomorrow." And then my sister, she is a nurse as well, and she worked at Emmanuel at the time. And there was an oncologist there. My sister had no idea she was an oncologist, seeing one of her patients that was admitted to my sister's floor. My sister found out that she was an oncologist and then asked her just some questions about paths to take, who I should see, any kind of information. Well, she was a breast cancer specialist. So my sister threw me out that name. And I asked my surgeon, and he's like, "Oh, absolutely. She's one of the best." So I just kind of feel like those were all signals for me to go to her. And I trusted her. I mean, she's kind of like my little mother hen. She is very protective of her patients and has just always had what's in the best interest for me, and maybe sometimes a little overprotective, which is good when you're on this journey. You want to feel like your doctor is for you and for your for surviving and giving you every chance you have.
God is so beautiful, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, everything was just divinely aligned for you.
It was. It really was.
And it sounds to me like you were kind of able to just surrender to the fact that this is the plan. And now I've got to trust, instead of try to control, I have to trust that the right tools, the right people are going to be put in front of me when I need them.
Yes. And I did.
I was a big event to be doing that, but it's no different in everyday life. So your girls are home today. You weren't planning on them being home, but they're home. What if we just say, "Hey, let's just trust this. Let's just trust this and go with it and be adaptable," right? And that's what you're doing.
You have to be adaptable because it's a hard journey, and things can change. The way you feel changes constantly. Your side effects change. You have to trust. You have to trust the process. You have to trust your doctors. You have to put your faith in God and know that whatever this journey, wherever it leads me, is where I'm supposed to be.
It's all pieces of the puzzle.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I did this meditation the other day, and it was all about visualizing kind of your life out in front of you as pieces of a puzzle on the ground. And some of those puzzle pieces are flipped over. Some of them are face up, but you can see the good and the bad. And you can begin to put them together and notice that your whole life up to this point couldn't have happened if you didn't have all those puzzle pieces. Exactly. Right? And initially, when I started visualizing this in my mind, I was seeing that it was like a puzzle with straight edges. But then like glaringly came to me that even the edges of our puzzle pieces are not straight, right? They are puzzle pieces that fit in with everybody else's puzzle pieces and everybody else's connections and just the whole universal energy that we are.
Yes.
The universal body that we are. In my mind, and I know that in your mind as well, it's the body of Christ, and that's how we all fit together. And it's beautiful.
Yes, it is. It truly is.
There are icky parts.
Very hard parts, but that's where you have to put your faith. I mean, I can't lie. I was mad. I was angry at God. Why me? What did I do to deserve this? And I'm learning that I'm touching more lives than I've ever thought I could with this journey. And if I can change one person's life to have faith in the Lord or to do those home breast exams, then I've made a difference.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Gosh, that's a beautiful perspective, Stacy.
Mm-hmm.
Think of where you were 2 years ago and just year and a half ago, when it was about a year and a half ago or so, just over a year ago.
Yeah.
2021. That was just last year.
Yeah.
You know, you think about that and like you're in your little community, your little meaning like your work community, your home community, your family community, you've got all these things. And now, my gosh, look at all you've done. Like you have beat cancer. And in the meantime, also shared this incredible journey, this incredible story. And like, there are people that you don't even realize who are following you, who are like cheering for you because of all that you've gone through.
Yes. It's incredible. It truly is.
So on that note, share with everyone where you are right now.
So I had 16 rounds of chemo. I ended up being allergic to my first plan. I was allergic to. So I kind of had to start over, which was very frustrating, but like, again, I had to trust the process. So I was supposed to have 6 rounds. I ended up with 16 rounds of chemo. And then after that, I had a double mastectomy and I got expanders placed at that time, which is just stage 1 of reconstruction. After that, I did end up with an infection, ended up being hospitalized for a week, which was very frustrating, but you have to go with it. You have to, and I wasn't really worried about myself. I was worried about my family, my daughters, my husband, my mom, who had already stayed here with us for 6 weeks, had planned to go home the next day. And then she couldn't. I've had 25 rounds of radiation. And then I'm on tomorrow I have round 16 of 18 of my Herceptin Perjeta, which is kind of like a protein blocker.
Wow.
That blocks those HERS2 proteins that made my cancer so aggressive. And then I'm scheduled for another surgery in January, which will be a major surgery, but it should be hopefully one of my last steps in the process.
Awesome. So did you have breast cancer in your family?
No, I did not. But my mom got diagnosed a month after I did.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yes.
Boom.
But we both had 2 different types. So hers was an estrogen positive. So hers was kind of that hormone positive, where mine was the HERS2 positive.
Wow.
So, yes, we did.
That is incredible. And so how's your mom doing now?
For all my, I had the genetics done and I was negative for all the genetics. So
wow.
My mom was doing well. She was stage 0. So she had the double mastectomy, and that was all that she needed, which was our prayer the entire time, that there was nothing more that she would need, that she could just have the mastectomy and be done with it.
How did she discover hers?
So she was actually supposed to have her mammogram in May, but she had gotten her COVID shot. So they put it off because if you get it too close, it can give you like false positives. So they actually put it off until October and September, October, end of September, I think is what it was. And which was a blessing, because if she would have had it in May when she was initially supposed to have it, they probably wouldn't have found it because it was so small, where they found it in September.
Wow. Mm-hmm. That is incredible.
Yes.
That is incredible. And then she got this glimpse of like, oh my gosh, she gets to experience, feel, and just be all of the emotions that you were experiencing and feeling as well. Yeah. And I say gets to, because it is a blessing that on another level, your mom got to relate to you in a completely different way. Had she not gone through that, I'm not saying that this would have necessarily happened, but what if it would have made it a little bit more challenging for her to help with your family as much as she needed to, and as much as you needed her to?
And she had her double mastectomy before me. So she kind of knew what to expect and how to care for me during mine.
Ah,
Yeah.
oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It gives me chills. It's just,
Yeah.
it's all so beautiful. And I know that's like, ugh, we're talking about cancer, but gosh, I'm not kidding. Your story is amazing. It's absolutely amazing. How did you take care of yourself physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually during this whole
gosh.
time? How do you, I guess, to this day?
A lot of praying. I have my daily devotions every day. I have to start my day with that mindset. I have to decide to wake up and fight and start my day with prayer and thanksgiving that I am blessed with another day, that I get to wake up and be with my children and my husband and go to work. I didn't work a lot through it just because of my counts and everything, but my job has been phenomenal in supporting me along this journey as well. And every day is truly a blessing, every single day. And you have to look at your days as a blessing, because not everybody's blessed with that. And I've met so many people on this journey who their journeys are different than mine, and they're terminal. They don't get to say, I'm in remission. They don't get to ring that bell. And when you get that opportunity to do those things and even to relate to these people on that level and pray with them and pray for them, it's just unbelievable. It's just, my faith has grown so much, even when I was mad, when I was angry at God, and I had to remind myself that it wasn't God that did this to me. It was the devil, and it was this. It's just, you can't blame him for this kind of stuff. He's going to be beside you to help you fight through it, is what he's going to do.
God brings you through the hard stuff to show you
I don't like
how great your faith can be.
I don't feel like God does bring you to two bad things. I think the devil brings you two bad things, but the Lord will bring you through the bad things. So
right. God brings you through it to almost to show you how great your faith can be and how much you can lean on him and trust and be.
Yeah. And you have to. Like I said, if I wouldn't have done my home breast exam, if I would have waited till this August to have my first mammogram, I would have been terminal. My story would have been a lot different.
That's amazing. Now, my doctor, I think I had my first mammogram and I don't have a history of breast cancer in my family either, but I had my first mammogram at 37. He recommended doing it at 37 and then waiting until 40 to do that next one. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of tricky, because I think you have to do the research yourself sometimes and tune into your inner guidance, tune into what you think also needs to happen.
I think you just really need to know your body. Mm-hmm. And you need to trust it. And when your body is off, or when something is telling you off, be persistent, advocate for yourself, and be persistent with treatment and tests if you feel like something is off.
Yeah. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. I just did a live in my group this week about body awareness and like that connection of your mind and your body, and how our mind and our body are one and the same. And what's happening in our body is a reflection of the mind. So what belief patterns do we have that sometimes help further these illnesses and help them grow, or not necessarily even illnesses, but discomforts that we have in our bodies. And when we brush them off and don't pay attention to them, they'll get worse. Yes. And we have to tune into them and ask your body, what is it that I need most? And it's a hard thing to teach yourself to get quiet enough to actually listen and to seek out the guidance, maybe the help from professionals, medical professionals, therapy professionals, whatever it may be, to actually get that help, to get to the bottom, and to be an advocate for your own self, for sure. So when you went into starting to realize that, wow, I'm going to be on a cancer journey now. What was the message that you wanted to give your girls, to leave with your girls, to model for them as you went through this?
I want to say strength. I wanted life to be as normal as possible for them. And that was my main goal, which was hard. It was hard. I didn't want to show them that my weaknesses, but it was good for them to see my weaknesses, and that in the end, my strength showed through. I felt weak. Everybody always tells you you're so strong, but I didn't feel strong. I felt weak. I felt like I couldn't get up some days. And I literally had to make the choice to wake up and fight every day. And there's still days I have to choose to wake up and fight and show my girls that even with no hair, when I'm sick, when I was tired, I still showed up. I showed up every day for them and for Ryan. And I continue to show up for them, even on the hard days.
And yet you showed compassion to yourself in all of the showing up. You still were able to balance the compassion with the action taking.
Mm-hmm.
There were times when you couldn't do more than what you needed to do.
Yep.
And you were able to rest.
Yes.
And your girls got to see that awesome balance.
Riley, she was really Peyton knew. We had lots of books to read to Peyton about everything that was going on. But the twins started to understand after my chemo sessions. Like, I would come home and I would sleep. I'd sleep a lot. And my little Riley, just a little sweetheart, would always have a pillow and blanket ready for me when I got home.
So sweet.
It was the sweet. And she was 2.5 when, in the beginning of this. And for her to really see and to see how I felt and to know like that's what happened when I came home from getting my medicine. And Ava, I didn't really think understood until she saw a commercial on TV for some cancer program or something. And she goes, "Look, Mommy, they don't have hair just like you." And so I didn't think she really realized what was going on. But she did, and they saw that I would still, even with feeling terrible, looking back, I don't know how I did it, but I mean, you do. You're not really giving.
How did that inspire you? How did their responses to you inspire you?
They made me want to fight. They made me want to continue to deal with the side effects and just keep on this journey and to trust the journey and to trust that whatever the plan was in the end was going to be okay. And that no matter what, they were going to be okay.
Yeah. Man. What was the hardest thing you had to go throughout this journey?
Oh gosh. It sounds silly, but I felt like I lost part of my identity, if that makes sense. Losing your hair, losing your breasts. Mm-hmm. It's hard. And my body is full of scars, and I'm going to have more scars come January. I will never look at myself in the mirror and it will be that same person that I saw before cancer. There's always going to be a me that was before cancer and a me after cancer. And I'm not ashamed of the me after cancer, but there's days that it's still hard to look at that person in the mirror as a reminder of what it's done to me.
So how are you coping with that mentally? How do you go through that?
I talk with other cancer survivors and we talk out our feelings, and I journal at times, and it's crazy how I will read a devotion and it's exactly what I needed to hear that day.
Yeah. Again, God's kind of amazing.
Yeah. And that's really what gets me through.
So. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. I'm so glad to hear that you have some really amazing practices, like mindfulness practices that you do, to stay just realistic, to stay in your moment and in the present moment, in yourself, in your body. And that's beautiful. What would you tell other women who have been recently diagnosed?
Don't give up. When everybody's telling you strong and you don't feel strong, it's those days that you lean on those words at times to get you through, and find the silver lining in every day. The hard days, the good days, the days you don't want to wake up, find something. I don't care how little it is, find something good in every day. Because truly there is a blessing in every day you get to wake up.
I love it. I love it. Do you ever keep a gratitude journal or a blessings journal?
I have written, there's a journal I have downstairs. And when I do my morning workouts at times that, I just write down something I'm thankful for. But I always find in my prayers something to thank the Lord for every day.
Yeah. So you're still pretty active though. And how did that affect your physical activity during the big parts of your cancer treatment? Because physical activity is the thing that keeps people centered.
I was in the best shape of my life going into this. I ran my first half marathon, and then I ran a half marathon literally the week before I started treatment. And I didn't work out a lot during chemo. My body just wouldn't allow it. My heart has been affected by all the medications. So I still have to really watch what I do. I want to run again. But right now my heart rate is too high. I can't, it makes me nervous. But right now I do workout programs. I get up and I move my body for 30 minutes a day, every day. And
do you think that helped you? And do you think it helped going into your cancer journey that you were in such great shape?
120% I do.
That's awesome. So moving your body, and we can't say it enough, it's just intentional movement is so crucial. It is. Putting yourself on the back burner in that regard because you feel like you have to do all of the other things for everybody else in your family is just a silly excuse. That's my own personal opinion, but you have to take care of yourself first. And if you don't, you are absolutely not going to be able to take care of everybody else, especially when something brings you down. Mm-hmm. And in your case, it was cancer.
Yeah. I'm very independent, and I've had to learn to be dependent at times, but I still,
another blessing that God snuck in there.
Yeah. Yes. Not very easily at times, but I had to. And I think moving your body for 30 minutes, whether you go for a walk, wake up those 30 minutes earlier, sometimes I have to set my alarm an hour earlier to get myself out of bed. There were times I worked out through my radiation, which my doctor told me not to. So there's the nurse again, still not listening. But it was a piece of me, and it's a piece of me and a part of me that I told myself after my surgery, and I was released from my surgeon to work out again. I said, cancer is never going to take another thing from me. It's not going to take my peace. It's not going to take my faith. It's not going to take my physical activity. It's not going to take anything else from me. I refuse to let it take anything else from me. It's taken enough, and I don't want to take anything else.
Beautiful. It's beautiful. So don't let cancer take anything else from you, because it's already going to mess with your life enough.
It is. It is.
All right. So let's recap. So Breast Cancer Awareness Month is October, in the month that we are in right now, and when this goes live. And when you start tracking your cycle, when you start paying attention to your cycle, it actually benefits you in this regard as well, because the ideal day to do your self-breast exam is day 7 of your cycle.
Yes.
So track your cycle, mark those days so that that's the day you're going to do your self-breast exam.
Put a reminder in your phone. You do
exactly.
Life is busy. Life throws you curveballs, but set that reminder. Put it on your calendars.
Yeah.
Take that 5 minutes, if that it takes, and know your body. Really, really know your body and know when something is off.
I love it. I love it. I put my whole cycle is in my calendar. Each phase is marked down in my calendar. So I know how to plan my life so that I know what to do when, what action to take when to slow down a little bit more, when to be more nurturing, more compassionate with my body, when to actually like live in my element and take full action with things. And I kind of plan my life around that. And so adding in when to do your self-breast exam is definitely not a silly thing. It's a crucial thing.
Yes.
The other thing, and we've been talking about breast cancer, but I will also put this plug in there because it's the same lines, is it's best to do your pap test around mid-cycle. So if you didn't know that before, wait till mid-cycle, when your cervix is highest, when your body is going to be able to respond to that the best. So note those two things on your calendars, ladies, because those are important things to check and to have done regularly.
Absolutely.
Okay. I got 2 questions left for you, Stacy, and we'll wrap it up. We're going over a little bit, but we're adapting.
Okay.
So tell us how all of this whole journey between going through some pregnancy struggles, finally getting pregnant, finding out you're having twins when twins don't run in your family, and then your whole cancer journey. Tell us how all of this cultivates more health, harmony, and happiness in your life.
Gosh, I guess I've learned to have peace and harmony in each day. You learn to let things go that don't matter. You find your tribe. You find the people that are on the same level and same page as you with your faith, with everything. I mean, knowing their bodies, knowing when things are off. You can talk to your other women in your life and just having peace, knowing that everything's going to be okay. If you're taking care of yourself, you're doing your best, you are the best version of yourself that you can be for yourself, for your family, for others. You're doing everything you can.
Yeah. It's allowed you to have a different perspective on
Absolutely.
life.
Yeah.
And to bring those elements just to be more clear in your life because you have that different perspective.
Yes. Your health is key. I mean, taking care of yourself and waking up each morning and choosing to take care of yourself, choosing to have that devotion. It sets the mood for your entire day and really for your life.
Now, we've honestly talked about a lot of ways that you are more mindful in everyday life, but this is one question that I ask all guests too, is how are you being more mindful right now in life? And whether that's the most frivolous thing or something really big and profound.
I guess my thing is being kind to all those around you. When you come across people you don't know, people that are having a bad day or say things that might not always be what you think or your same perspective, throw that smile out at them. Leave a little note on somebody's car. You never know what their day is going like and what they're going through in their life, but don't judge. People might not know. I don't look sick anymore. I have my eyebrows back. My hair is growing back, but I'm still on this journey. And I feel like people are so quick to judge others and so quick to not be mindful of what's going on around them. But just be kind. Be kind to everybody you cross, because you never know what kind of a difference you're going to make in somebody else's life, day, hour. I mean, I think it's just really important to be better people, be better humans, and to pray for all those around you. I just think it's really important.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. We've definitely heard through your stories today how you are doing that, how you're plugging that into your everyday life. And Stacy, I want to thank you so much for taking this time out of your day and sharing with listeners your journey, your story. Anything else you want to share or anything else you want to put out there?
Just never take your health for granted. never take it for granted, and just do those home breast exams, know your body, have faith in your journey, whether it's good, bad, ugly, beautiful. Have faith in that journey and continue to inspire anybody that's around you with how you act and how you handle those situations.
I love it. I love it. You're a rock star.
Thank you.
You are such an inspiration.
Thank you.
Such an inspiration. I'm so grateful to have this opportunity to visit with you.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. As you heard from Stacy today, it is so important to pay attention to the signals that your body gives you, even when signals are things you feel have just become a part of you, or that you've maybe even grown to accept as just the way you are. Using the daily rhythms tracker is one way to begin to observe those body's rhythms, and so that you can begin to align with them and live with more ease by using them to your advantage. Just like Stacy did when she started paying closer attention to her body's messages. If you haven't downloaded the Daily Rhythms Tracker yet, click the link in the show notes to get started. Trust me, it is a wonderful tool in not only tracking your cycle, but also tracking some of those other things that maybe we tend to take for granted, or things that maybe you just want to be more intentional about. Things like your monthly self-breast check, which, as we mentioned in the show, should be done around day 7 of your cycle. So put that on your calendar. Do it each month. I've told you guys how I keep my cycle on my calendar so that I know when to plan my life and how to plan my life. And this is just one more thing that you can just add to your calendar very simply. The other thing is that PAP test too, and the best time of the month, or of your cycle rather, to have that test done is at mid-cycle. So if you're thinking about scheduling those things or need to schedule those things, then figure out your cycle with the Daily Rhythms Tracker and then get those things scheduled. Put them on your calendar. Be diligent about it. It could save your life. If you liked what you heard today, if you liked Stacy's story and want to share it with someone else or a lot of other people, take a screenshot of the episode and share it to your Facebook or Instagram stories. Then tag me in it if you'd like. You can tag Karen Yoga Wellness, Kathy Stricker, or C Stricker, or no one at all, but just share it. Get Stacy's story out there. I would just love for you to help do that. And if you're not on social media and haven't given the show a rating or review yet, head on over to Apple Podcasts and do so. I would truly appreciate it. Next week, friends, next week is a new moon. So we are talking intention setting. Fire up for that, because it'll be a great time to just begin thinking about the new cycle and how you want to move forward through it. So I'm going to take you through some key things for intention setting and see what comes up, I guess. Until next week, helping you find the rhythms in everything that you do, I'm Kathy Stricker, and you've been listening to Health, Harmony, and Happiness with Kathy.